Welcome to the About Us series, where we are taking some challenging subjects, some hard topics, and as Stithton Baptist Church, we are just saying what we believe about them, being open and candid about some of these hard topics. The one that we have for this video is, what is biblical love? Have you ever heard claims from Christians, wholeheartedly well-meaning Christians, I'm assuming, that say, why can't the church just love people and love God? Right? That is a completely true statement, but I think that there's more to that statement. It can simplify what love is. And so I think it's a great statement. We should make that the cornerstone of our theology. But what does that mean? Let's unpack that. I think that the world is confused about what love is, so we should probably identify what that is. I will say that because, man, there's rocket-high divorces in the church and outside of the church, people not knowing how to love people well in marriage. There's addiction to pornography. People don't know how to have proper relationships with one another in terms of romantic relationships and sexual relationships and how to love each other well there. There's addiction to shows like The Bachelor and various other like love experiments. That I think that we can honestly say that the world is a little confused about what love is and how to do it well. So let's talk about the Bible. I think that the Bible has an older definition that we can implement into today of what love should look like. We need outside assistance to tell us how to love. So what does the Bible say about love? The word for love in the Old Testament is known as ahava. You got to get the phlegm going for that one, but ahava is the word. And ahava literally means obedience. It literally means walking in obedience to what God has called us to, how He has loved us, replicating that same love to other people. So how does God love us? God is depicted as the ultimate example of love. You will not find a greater example of love than Jesus when He says, "No greater love is there than one who lays his life down." Right? Like that's the greatest example of love. So is love a feeling? Right? Is love like something that you just intrinsically know or feel? Right? Is that what love is? And I have to say, no. It's actually not a feeling like what culture would say. Does God often feel feelings towards His creation, like really good and happy feelings? Absolutely. But that's actually not the point of love. Love is not the ooey gooey feelings towards us, but God doesn't always feel that, but He always loves us. Like when God is angry with the Israelites, He still loves the Israelites, even though He doesn't have feelings of affection towards them. Feelings aren't wrong, but they're just not the purpose or intention of wrong. You therefore do not fall out of love, but choose to stop acting in what God has called you to do. So let's dismantle that cultural lie that you can fall out of love. So what's the function of love, right? Our position on this is that it's a gospel play, that we get to mimic God's love for creation and God's love for humanity and how we choose to love one another. If we choose to love by flighty feelings that are going to go in and out, or if we're going to just stay faithful, just like God stays faithful to us, we get to mimic and reflect God's glory to all of the community and creation that's around us. That is what love is. We get to reflect God's glory to the rest of His creation. What does being faithful in love show? It shows the love God has for us, which will not run out despite your rebellion against Him. So loving people when it's hard, choosing to do what Scripture tells you to do and walk in the way that Scripture tells you to have interaction with your brothers and sisters. Choosing to do that actually shows the rest of creation of what God does with us, that despite our rebellion against Him, He's still going to do the things that He says He's going to do. Doesn't mean that God always feels ooey gooey feelings towards His creations or feelings of likeness and of affection, but He's still going to do all that He says that He's going to do. And you get to mimic that in your relationships and in your faithfulness. The idea of covenant, of God having to create a legal document between two people in relationship, assumes that creation has enmity between us, right? That there's distance and that sin has separated us. But God bringing people together in a sin-stained world is a miracle. Us staying faithful to one another despite that thing that separates our relationship is kind of like a middle finger to the devil, right? It's saying like that thing, that curse that we have on us, that you put on us, like actually doesn't have power over us anymore. What has more power over us is the fact that God has called us out of that. Like who God says about me is so much more valuable And so we get to show that to the community, to our communities, to our church, to the people that get to know us greatest by loving each other well, by being faithful in our love for one another. I think it's best summarized when Jesus asks us to pick up our cross and walk. What does it look like to live and love sacrificially for other people? Not for our own satisfaction and happiness, but so that others might know the love that God has for them. What if that was the function of love?